You don't always need full meta teams to win in VGC. I literally played multiple tournament games with a team I built around my favorite bad Pokemon. In this video I'm going to show you my exact process to build creative VGC teams that use your favorite or Pokemon that you like, still have synergy and win games, and have fun overall. Let's start with why most fun teams fail and how to fix that. Most players just grab the strongest, the most flexible meta Pokemon with insane synergy. Those teams are already super strong and are even sometimes meta-defying. But what if you don't want to play that stuff? Maybe you just want to use your favorite Pokemon, or just something funny you really like. Whatever that works depends a lot on your goal in VGC. Do you want to become the best player or a better player than you are now? Or do you want to become a better team builder and have fun? Right now, I don't really care about playing for glory. I play online tournaments and with friends using teams built around Pokemon I like. And surprise, sometimes they actually get results. Every successful team, meta or not, has specific rules for each Pokemon, a good type synergy and solid coverage overall. If you look at a meta team like this one, it has all of that. Strong Pokemon, great synergy, and it is really hard to counter. This team even won a big online tournament last month. But if you don't want to play the meta, have 30 minutes of fun creative team building, and after 3 games you think, this is not working. That's not a problem with creative teams, that's a mindset problem. In this video I will show you an example of how I take teams and optimize them so they actually start winning or just for having fun. That's step 1 done. Step 2 is pick your favorite and find an archetype. First we need to know what Pokemon we're going to build around. For this video I am going for Regice. And spoiler alert, it is gonna look like an Articuno Snow Team bootleg, but when making this video I just wanted to play with Regice. This team I am most likely going to use in an invitational tournament that I host, so very serious business. I really like Regice, but I need to understand how I can fit it in the current meta. Because Regice is an ice type with ice body ability, I decided to put it on a snow team. Snow naturally supports ice types with extra bulk and it can even activate Regice ability. On snow teams there are usually 2 main weather setters, Abominable Snow and Alolan Ninetales. Both can set up snow instantly, so they're perfect partners to start from. Step 3. Decide how your mon actually plays. Regice can do a couple of different things in this format. It can run a speed control set with moves like Thunder Wave or Icy Wind, or it can go more offensive with items like Choice Specs or Life Orb, using Blizzard and Thunderbolt to deal big damage. Either version can work, but to know which one we want, we need to look at the rest of the team. We still need 4 older Pokemon. Step 4. Steal a meta team. This is where I use resources like Victory Road, Limitless and Red Mouse. These sites show official and unofficial tournament teams for the current rule sets, which right now is Regulation F. What I like to do is find a strong snow team that has already done well, copy that team in the builder, then study how it works and figure out where I can slot Regice in. For example, the first team that I got is basically a snow team that normally uses Booster Energy Iron Bundle. I just took that slot and replaced Iron Bundle with a Choice Specs Regice. Regice is running Blizzard, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt and Terra Blast Water. The rest of the moves on the team are unchanged. The only things that I changed were the EVs, knowing Ninetales has Icy Wind. For now, I can just make the EVs based on speed control and put the rest in attack and bulk. Step 5. Learn the meta by playing, not guessing. So how do you even know what the meta is? You can team build forever, but I like to learn by playing. Again, I use sites like Victory Road and Limitless to see what top cut teams look like. That already tells me what the strongest archetypes are. Then I copy one of those teams, drop Regice into that Iron Bundle slot, give it my own EVs and just play. I usually do 5 or 10 games on Showdown in the best of 1 format with the team. After an hour of testing and saving some replays, I started to see patterns. Which Pokemon I run into the most, which team style I struggled against, and how my Regice actually performs inside that shell. The longer you play VGC, the faster the process becomes. If you're new, it might take some more games, and that's totally fine. Pokemon is a lot of trial and error, and a lot of understanding what your team actually does in practice, not just on paper. Once I've tested enough and seen those patterns, that's when the fun part starts for me. I begin optimizing the team and slowly turning a meta shell into an off-meta creative Regice squad. Now that we have identified the meta, or how the team plays, I can start looking at some changes according to what went wrong. Now in the advanced team building guides on YouTube, you can see how they change the EV spreads based on damage calculations on speed tiers. According to that, we can change our EVs. After testing the team on ladder, I played 7 games and went 5-0-2. The important part isn't that I had a positive record, the important part is what I learned from the losses and the wins. For example, in this game, my opponents reached Frutamane and Chiyu, and they completely destroyed me. My Regice team has no clean answer in this position, and I get run over. This is what we call a hard matchup. Their duo is just incredibly strong into my 6. So is this a team issue or a skill issue? In this case, the matchup is rough, but I also could have read differently, respected their damage a bit more and played more defensively early game. Even when the matchup is bad, asking what could I have done better is how you improve as a player, not only just as a team builder. While testing, I also started thinking about changes. One idea I found was using tornadoes instead of going 9-tails. Tornadoes gives me immediate tailwind, it can also set snow with snowscape, and it let me change EVs on Regice to be bulky and outspeed key threats under tailwind. The downside is I lose the fairy typing and bulk from Aurora Veil. So this is the kind of trade-off you have to think about when you optimize creative teams. At this point, the team part is mostly done. Now it's about me learning when to bring each Pokemon, which leads work into which archetypes, and how aggressive I can be with Regice. Once I am happy with the team in best of 1, I move to the next phase, best of 3 open team sheet testing. This is if you want to get serious about the team. You can do this in 2 ways, join an online unofficial tournament like Unlimitless, or play the best of 3 ladder. Personally, I love online tournaments because they simulate a real event from home, you face players who are also trying hard, and you get a lot of information to adapt after the tournament. If you have a capture card, record every match and watch them back later if you can. If not, just use a notepad on your phone and write down which matchup felt bad, where the reads didn't work, and when the Pokemon you have actually carried. If you go, say, 1 of 3 and drop from the tournament, that's still super valuable. Look back and ask, what did I consistently lose to? Maybe you realize, my Regice is really weak to tailwind teams. Then you adjust the team. Queue up for the next event and try again. If it still doesn't feel right after a couple of attempts, it's totally fine to pivot to a new idea and start over from the best of 1 phase. That's just part of the process. Sometimes after a day or 2 of playing with a team, I start to feel like I'm still missing something. By that point, I have learned how the team plays and what its common weaknesses are. But maybe I also realize I just don't enjoy the team as much anymore, and that's completely fine. You can always pivot into something that feels more comfortable for you to play. For me, that comfort zone is Cresselia and Ursaluna. But wait a minute, if I make that change, what does that actually do to the team? How does it affect my playstyle? Let me explain that in a simple guide. Maybe I will do more advanced guides later, but for now I want to keep it beginner friendly. First I look at what I'm going to replace and why. If I want to play Trick Room, I definitely don't want fast sweepers anymore. But I still want good support. In my case, the Pokemon that are getting removed are Raging Bolt and Landorus, and I'm replacing them with Cresselia and Ursaluna. Now with that change, I've got a solid Fake Out plus Trick Room setup, and Ursaluna becomes a really strong attacker under Trick Room. I still have great coverage with Oakapon Wellspring, and it also provides utility with Follow Me, which helps protect my Trick Room setter. We can go even further and tweak the rest of the team. I decide to replace Incineroar with something I've been enjoying a lot lately, Heatran. Incineroar will still be totally fine here with an Assault Vest, especially because that will let me give the safety goggles to Cresselia who needs it more, but Heatran is also a strong option, so this time I'm choosing Heatran instead. Now that I made those changes, I need to adjust the EVs, IVs and even some of the moves, since this version of the team is built around Trick Room and most of the Pokemon are very slow. I want Regice to be as slow as possible, so I give the Quiet Nature and 0 IV speed. You could also go for something like 2 speed IVs to avoid speed die with Ursaluna, but for the sake of the video, I'm keeping it simple with 0 speed IVs, to make Regice as slow as possible. We can also replace Ninetales with Abomasnow. Abomasnow is slower, which is actually a good thing in the Trick Room. Ninetales is generally better overall, but I really like Abomasnow, so I want to try it here. Again, another Pokemon I like and I really wanna try out. I make it as bulky and slow as I can, so that the snow goes up as late as possible. And I give it the 2 attacking moves, Leaf Storm as a strong hard hitting option and Weather Ball for flexible coverage, depending on the weather. For Heatran, I give the Life Orb and max special attack so it hits as hard as possible and I can really take advantage of the pressure Trick Room creates. And with that, this version of the team is done. Now I will take this process into the best of 1 phase, play some games and see how it actually performs. I will adjust moves, EVs and maybe even swap Pokemon if something really doesn't feel right. Of course, this doesn't guarantee that the team will be amazing, but that's not the only goal. This is a fun team I think to use, built around the Pokemon I like, and it follows a clear process you can copy for your own favorite Pokemon. I will post an update on how I did in the invitational, and if it didn't go well, too bad. At least I had fun using the Pokemon I enjoy. And if you really want to play with only niche Pokemon, there are other formats too, like Draft Leagues or Little Cup. Those formats are amazing for improving your team building, because in Draft you know your matchup a week in advance, you have to build specifically to that one opponent, and battle skill and prep both matter a lot. I actually won a Draft League in the highest division of my league with a team I'm still very proud of. So yes, creative off-meta builds absolutely can win those things. But you can't expect them to instantly start winning just because you build a creative team. Niche Pokemon usually aren't used in a high level play for a reason. There are just so many strong, more consistent options in the meta. But that doesn't mean they cannot work at all. We've seen some crazy examples about Rainbow B getting results in Regulation H and Cantonian Articuno winning Utrecht in 2024. Those are the kinds of picks most people would never even consider before the time that they got success. And yet, they still found success. To me, what matters the most is that you have fun with the Pokemon you're building around. Yes, it is a long process. Yes, you might lose a lot at first, but if you genuinely love that Pokemon, trying is always worth it. Right now, I'm still trying to make my favorite Pokemon Porygon-Z work in Regulation F. Realistically, I know I probably won't be winning many big tournaments with it, or not even a tournament at all, because it's just not good in the current metagame. But that doesn't stop me from trying to be creative and enjoy the process. My goal isn't to be the very best like no one ever was anymore. If that was my only goal, I would probably worry way more about my results and drop my favorite Pokemon. For me, fun is my priority. Results, they come in second. And that's actually one of the most fun parts. When you start a creative team, maybe something you stole and customized or something you built from scratch, and then you slowly refine it into a team that's actually meta viable. That's basically step 1 of advanced team building. If you want to go deeper into that kind of theory, there are other great channels who talk about in-depth team building, like the Delabird, which I always recommend checking out. So, to summarize the process, you pick a Pokemon you really want to play, you pick an archetype you want to use it in, you pick a set you want to try, defensive, offensive or supportive, you steal a strong team concept for someone and make it your own, you play games to identify what works and what doesn't, you make adjustments based on real matches, and you play in tournaments to see if the team actually can get some results. If it doesn't work, you can always go back to step 2 and change the archetype, or even step 1, pick a new Pokemon to build around. And of course, you can go even crazier with teams who were not one of meta Pokemon, but multiple. If you like that super creative style, I highly recommend checking out Dead Say +1 for more wild VGC team ideas. And if you're interested in more in-depth Draft League content, analysis and prep, my good friend Jay Jingles is also an amazing creator to learn from. If you like what you saw in this video, consider subscribing so you don't miss future uploads. Let me know down in the comments, do you want more team building guides like this, or more tournament style videos with teams I build around with niche Pokemon. If you want to see how I use Dusclops and Porygon-Z in online tournaments, I recommend clicking on the videos on screen right now. I will see you there. And have a lovely day and good luck with your own team building.